Tesis yönetiminde ISO41000 tesis yönetiminde standartlar başlıklı konuşmasını yapmak üzere. Ifma Global Yönetim Kurulu üyesi ve Ifma Avrupa Danışma Kurulu Başkanı Sayın Duchamps'ı sahneye davet ediyorum.
Facility managers are like a superman or a superwoman. If you take into account with what was discussed today and yesterday, you should be a superman. Otherwise, you're not able to practice this all. As a superman or a facility manager, you need to understand the business. You need to know about technology. You need to forecast. You need to connect to your colleagues. You need to know what HR is. You need to know the finances. So you need to be some kind of hero to manage all the facilities. In my presentation, that will be fast and furious because you want to have some coffee. I will give you an example of a an example of a tool that you can put in your backpack to become a better superman or a better superwoman. A tool that can be used to enhance the profession in your organization, to communicate internally, to communicate with other organizations, but also to go to your management and say, okay, this is something that is important for our organization. So the ISO 41000 standards, so it's a little bit strange now, but we should be able to manage our facilities with agreements. And the ISO 41000 group of standards, it's some kind of agreements that we make amongst the sector. So first, some words about standardization. So standardization, it's not legislation. So it's a big difference. Standardization is something that it's made in the sector with people from the industry. So people come together in working groups, in technical committees, and they discuss a specific topic. And when they have an agreement, and they say, okay, this is the way we see and how we want to proceed, then you can name it as a standard. And so a standard is based on different levels, or it's created on different levels, on a local level in each country. On a European level, for example, it's called the CEN, and also you have international standards, and all of them are interconnected. It's important also to mention that standards are not mandatory. You can refer in public procurement, for example, or you can refer in requirement documents, you can refer to standards and asking that services are compliant with the standard, but it's not mandatory from a legal perspective. And the importance is also that there should be no conflict between local, so national standards and international standards. So having this kind of agreement, it's important for each sector and it's important for facilities management because with, for example, this international standard, the entire facilities management community all over the globe agrees, for example, on the definition, agrees upon different types of models that we use to roll out the procurement of facilities management services. So having these international standards will increase the competitiveness in a global market, will improve effectiveness, but also improve transparency. Because from a demand side, you can request that service providers have to be in alignment or have to align with ISO standards. So this gives you a more open view on how providers make proposals. Of course, it would increase the quality, and it can be subject for certification. So everybody knows the standards for quality, ISO 9000 and 9001, where organizations can be certified if they are in alignment with the standard, so that get a certification that can be used in the market. Important is also mentioning that the communication will be improved by standardization, and it can be the start of development of new tools. So, related to facilities management, there is one set of European standards for facility management. It's the Magnificent Seven, with the definition, with the guidance on agreements, and some more technical. And this one we've been using a lot, number 6. It's about area measurement of buildings. And we already talked about development of new buildings. People who are in real estate, this standard describes or defines how a building is measured. And if you lease out 15,000 square meter from a gross area perspective, you can use maybe 10,000 square meter. So it's very important to have a good agreement on square meter. These standards were developed, David mentioned it yesterday, since 2006, within the technical committee of CEN, so the European standardization body. And 2 of them are now replaced by ISO 41000 series, so the new ones. So in the ISO International Standards for Facility Management, today you have 4. The first one is the Facility Management System Standard, and it's comparable with ISO 9001 and comparable with ISO 55000 on asset management. So in ISO you have 2 types of standards. The first one are management standards, and the second group are technical standards, who are more related to technical topics. What is important now, and it's the first time that facility management is now described in a management standard. And for our profession, it's very important that ISO 41001 is a facilities management system standard. Not system by software system or whatever, but being described as a management system. The second one is the number 11. It's describing the terms and definitions. The third one is on the guidance on strategic sourcing. And the last one, it's about scope, key concepts, and benefits. So the technical committee 267, who has been developing the standard, is still active. These are the countries that are working in the technical committee. And again, it's a group of experts all across the world who are meeting, working together, and actually establishing, creating these documents. The process for one standard takes 2, 3, sometimes 4 years, but it's important to have the involvement of a lot of different countries with a different background, different culture in this working group. This was the mission. So the goal was to develop a standard that articulate and enhance the understanding of facilities management as the leading profession discipline within the built environment profession. So that was the goal of the working group when the work started some years ago. So this is very quickly how the process went. So starting in 2011, when the committee was established, actually first creating the definitions in 2016, then the guidance on strategic sourcing, and finally last year, it was in June last year, where facility management system standard was available and that it could be used in the companies. So this is the first thing about the vocabulary with the terms and definitions. I will go through it. This you saw already on the screen several times today and yesterday. Important is to mention now that for the first time in the definition that it's about improving the quality of life of people and the productivity of businesses. So not only about the processes, so increasing productivity of companies, but also really connected to the human beings, connecting to the employees. And for me, that's very important in the definition of the facility management in the standard. Second one is on guidance on sourcing, and then I will refer to this scheme. So if you want to outsource facility management services or the entire facilities management, you can rely on this standard. It's a well-defined, it's like a guideline that you can use to prepare your tender documents and to go actually to the entire tender process. Who's using the ISO 41000 standard? Are people in the audience already aware of the ISO standard and using this? 2? Okay. So it's very useful. 3. It's very useful. So you should take a look at this, and it also avoids to reinvent the wheel, because this is the result of a lot of people working together and putting together a lot of knowledge and experiences. The third one is about the scope and definitions. And so actually the goal of the entire standard is to enhance performance. And again, that's a very important message that it's giving by a management standard, that you don't want to describe the size of a bottle, because the screw has to fit on the bottle, and you need to define very well what's the size of the bottle, the top of the bottle, and the screw. Now, this is a technical standard, but this one is describing how you can enhance performance. It's about your entire system, your entire organization. Enhance performance. So that's very important. ISO 41001 as a management standard has the 9 chapters, the 9 parts that are comparable for all management standards. So it's about the context of your organization, leadership, planning, support, the operations, performance, and improvement. And you can see from support, operations, performance, you can see the Deming circle. So it's about plan, do, check, act. It's about doing things, checking, measuring, and looking for performance. And that's very important message from this ISO 9001. It's a bad slide. Okay. So, but it's describing that in each chapter of the standard, you can use elements that are applicable in your day-to-day business. How you should implement. So we've been involved since the standard was published in some implementation processes. You cannot certify yet, but you can start implementing the standard for your facilities management department. And actually you go to a process that it's comparable with implementing ISO 9001 or 55000 on asset management, so that you start to understand the organization. And it's very important, and it's remarkable that if we start in projects that you think that it's a well-established facilities management department, that they don't have a mission and a vision statement. And they say, we want to work on the strategy. I say, okay, let's start with the mission statement. Yeah, but we want to work on the strategy. No. If you don't have a mission, you cannot work on the strategy. So it's very important to go through all these steps, and finally you come into develop your action plan, and there also you look into supporting tools, and that technology comes. So you need to have a good tool, because if you want to outsource, you need service level agreements with KPIs. Okay, maybe outsourcing is is part of your strategy, and then in the implementing phase, you need to define what is the technology that we use for this. So the added value of the ISO 4001 is something to put in your backpack. It's not the reading that you do on a Friday evening, having a glass of wine or beer. It's something that you go through step by step when you are working on your plan. So the added value of the standard is that it's focused on the quality of life, so that's meant to improve your organization. It's not, again, not describing measures. No, it's for improvement. It's like a framework that you can use to set up your procedures. It's to enhance sustainability, it's maintain compliance, develop functional and motivating built environment. So actually, it's to create a better organizational entity and reputation. And again, if you can use this standard and to talk to general management in your organization and say, okay, we want to implement the ISO standard, so because we want to structure our organization, our facilities management department, so that we really can improve, okay, then you can become a better Superman or a better Superwoman. Thank you very much.